All right, we're going to start off with some movie hypos. Do you need a license? When? The history teacher shows Schindler's List as part of a unit on World War II. How about if the fifth grade teacher shows Despicable Me for raising the most money for a fundraiser? Kind of a reward type question. The PTO shows Beauty and the Beast on movie night. So are you going to need a license in each of those instances? We also have TV in the classroom, which is a little bit different. Do you need a license when? So a teacher records an episode of Friends and shows it to the class during free time. A history teacher records an episode of ESPN's 30 for 30 on racial integration of sports and shows it during history class on integration. A science teacher shows an episode of 60 Minutes on Hurricane Florence that he recorded a couple of days ago. And so those might be a little different. Movie Licensing USA. This is where pretty much everybody goes to get your license. They are the exclusive provider of public performance licenses for K-12 schools, with one exception, 20th Century Fox. They don't have 20th Century Fox. That is through Criterion Pictures. But everybody else, you have to go to Movie Licensing. You can get an individual license for one single event. They're relatively cheap. You can get a blanket license for a year. Those run anywhere from $300 to, I think they're up to $700. Depends on your student enrollment. That's how they base that.
And it also depends on if you're covering affiliated groups like your PTO or not.
And so you can get those online. You can get them by phone, but that's the place to start if you're looking at a movie, unless, like I said, it's 20th Century Fox. TV in the classroom. This came up in 1979, and it makes a lot of sense when you think about it. VCRs came in vogue in the mid-70s. And so there wasn't a lot of guidance as to what can we do as educators with these programs. There's a lot of stuff we could tape and show in class. So Mr. Kastenmeier was a congressman at the time, and he created a committee. And so they put together this document to give us guidance on and we still use it, on what you can show in the classroom. So it can only be programs that are broadcast for reception by the general public without charge. So anything on HBO, ESPN, Disney, those are out. We can't have any fun there. It must be shown in a classroom setting, similar to what Karen was talking about earlier. It has to be shown during the first 10 consecutive school days after it was recorded. You can retain it for 45 days to evaluate whether you're going to continue to use it for the curriculum. If you are going to, you have to go obtain permission. Otherwise, you have to destroy that record.
Which you're not going to be able to do with Netflix or Hulu or
Amazon Prime.
Yeah, so it gets a little more interesting. Yeah, anyway.
You don't have to play the entire show, but again, they don't want you making anthologies or compilations. Schools are expected to establish appropriate control procedures to maintain the integrity of these guidelines. There wasn't a lot of guidance on what this meant, but I found it interesting. You weren't required, you were expected. And so there really is no requirement on that, but they do want you to have some procedures, some policy in place to address how that's going to work. Again, as Karen had said earlier, PBS has a lot of exceptions. They want you to use this for educational purposes. So what they suggest you do is contact a local PBS station, and they'll give you guidance on what their specific rules are.
I had a question from an administrator yesterday who asked, "Oh, Bobby, my Movie Licensing USA license is due. Do I really need to get that? I mean, can I just wait to buy it until they sue me?" No, that's the point of having a license that's in place before you use it. So I said to the administrator, well, what are movies used for? I mean, do you have like a list of everybody who shows movies and whether they're arguably educational or just for reward? Well, no. How would I know that? Ask your staff, right? I think that's what expected to establish control procedures means, not just here, but throughout the copyright stuff when it talks about reasonable diligence to make sure you are fitting within one of the exceptions. So have a list. Anybody that shows a movie or wants to have a permission requirement, and just have them send it to you so that you can analyze this.
Or if you buy, I think Movie Licensing USA is actually one of the best deals out there. I love talking about movies because I actually have answers. When I was PTO president, I actually got the licenses for movie night. I mean, it was like $25 to $50. It was worth it. And the entire system is set up to make it so that the license is cheaper than the settlement of the claim. So this superintendent, you are gambling, but they're going to try to make sure that if you get caught, they're going to clip you for enough that that is not worth it. And real quick on Disney particularly, very aggressive in enforcing their copyrights. They have caught PTOs violating the copyright laws by parents posting on their personal Facebook pages that they went to movie night for the PTO and that they saw, whatever, give me a Disney movie,
Beauty and the Beast.
Beauty and the Beast. And they literally have then tagged the school for the copyright violation because some parent just posted on their personal Facebook page that they went and saw the movie at PTO movie night. So it's just, they'll get you. The interwebs will get you every time. Well, no, most of the time.
All right, so back to our hypotheticals. Do you need a license when the history teacher shows Schindler's List? No. I mean, we've got an educational exception. Clearly, they're teaching it as part of the class. How about when the 5th grade teacher shows Despicable Me for being the leading fundraiser? Yeah, you do need that. I mean, obviously, that one's just for entertainment. And how about the PTO showing Beauty and the Beast on movie night? Karen's giving that one away as
Sorry.
PTO president. Yes, of course, you need a license for that.
The middle one about showing Despicable Me for raising the most money, sometimes educators would think that they agree that that's a copyright violation. But if we show Despicable Me because everybody scored at grade level on their NISA test, does that get us to the educational exception? And I think the answer is no, because you're not teaching about the movie, you're using it as a reward, even if it's a reward for an academic activity.
And similarly with the TV in the classroom, the episode of Friends, that's a reward. So obviously you're going to need a license for that. The history teacher who's teaching the racial integration, you're not going to need a license for that. That's the teaching exception. And how about a science teacher shows episode of 60 Minutes on Hurricane Florence? Because it's within that first 10 days, no, you're not going to need a license.
Now, history teacher, if the 30 for 30 was not within the time frame with the different TV rules,
You still would have to be within that time frame.
Yeah.
So you'd have to get through the 10 days as well.
Or hope that you can still articulate fair use outside of those Castlemeyer guidelines.
Sure.
so that's why that's in there, because that one's kind of tricky.
Yeah. And I think that actually highlights the difficulty of the fact that you can get that stuff so quickly on demand, right? You just log into your Watch ESPN account, and you can probably pull up that 30 for 30. So the 10-day stuff is harder to enforce with the advent of you're not actually carrying it in cassette tape.
Questions on movies and TV. What about reading a book and then watching the full-length movie?
Is there an educational purpose or is it a reward?
If it,
Good job, everybody. Gone with the Wind is super long. We're now going to take a full week of class periods to try to watch that baby. It's my wife's favorite movie, so I've done it way too many times. That is it a reward? Are we analyzing differences? Are we talking about how this character is portrayed in the book relative to the film? I think if you can tie an educational purpose to it, you're probably okay.
if you read the book, take the test, and then watch the movie,
Reward.
it's a reward. If you read the book, watch the movie, and then you test, and it's designed to have the kids understand like what a play looks like when it's actually acted out, like stage directions, for example. You read stage directions, but look, it's not, they don't say stage right in the movie, then I think you can argue it's for an educational purpose. But if it's for a reward, as the follow-up text says, I think you're gonna need a license. And again, that's why I think for once we have a solution. That's why that Movie License USA building-wide license it could be money well spent.
Yeah, and I think it's become such an industry standard that y'all know it exists.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I'm worried about is showing a video for a reward without going to Movie License or Centurion is going to get you in trouble. Because if they ask all your neighbors, it's like, well, yeah, of course we all do it. So you know now probably that it's an intentional violation.
Okay, that's it for the questions. Thank you.